The arrogance of these people to think that $60 is enough to turn anyone's life around.
This guy is showing his arrogance. He's a man-child who thinks
that $60 is enough to turn anyone's life around. Now, of course, you're struggling to find a way to pay the same bills you did 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 2 years ago, 12 interest rate rises since this Prime Minister came to office. Of course, it doesn't matter for Albo and Chalmers because
they're a pair of bozos.
Because they, of course, just last week got their third pay rise this term. The second highest in a decade. The highest in a decade was the one before this. 3 in one term, $600,000.
Reach for the stars.
So this may surprise some of the politicians who, of course, maybe hate watching the show, but the facts are here.
And in this case, to promote negative statements and potentially to just inflame what was a very difficult situation.
That $60 is enough to turn anyone's life around.
Delete the truth that
he's a gutless wonder. He shows no compassion for what's happening in this country.
Remember the truth of the too little too late tax cuts that we have called too little too late all year because they are?
I intend to run an orderly government and it's
too little too late.
We've got $107 billion in tax cuts flowing in the coming years from July already, and that will
make absolutely no difference whatsoever to the lives of these people.
Please be thankful. The crumbs taste lovely.
And that will provide that average tax cut of $36 a week.
And guess what? $36 a week magically, if you have 2 people working, becomes $60 a week. Okay, the reality's 30-something bucks. Oh, but if it's 2 of you, it's $60. But again, the arrogance of these people to think that $60 is enough to turn anyone's life around.
That's my style. I hope you've noticed that.
Remember, if you earn $45,000, it's $15 a week.
Reach for the stars.
So the average, yes, might be where the average person is working sort of up around the 70s and 80s, maybe a little bit higher. But for the people who are actually struggling, actually in a hole, trying to pay off a house, 12 interest rate rises since this bloke became Prime Minister, power bills up the yin-yang, because we absolutely have to, we can only go renewables, and that's hundreds of billions of dollars. But the other guy's idea, that could cost hundreds of billions of dollars. Is it a frustration for obvious reasons?
Yes.
His name is Anthony Albanese.
It's actually Albanese.
Okay. It depends where you're from.
Thank you for doing that, Mr. Albanese.
It's a very gentle S in Italian, but you always use the vowel at the end.
I'll make sure.
But no one says bolognese, do they?
No, they don't.
Oh, yeah, and remember how every time you've heard about these cost of living assistances, which aren't really going to touch the sides, but as an overall issue, when inflation is still stubborn and not getting down to that 2 to 3% margin that the Reserve Bank needs it to get down to, the politicians are getting a pay rise. Well, they keep saying this as a way of saying,
my word is my bond.
Trust us.
Not adding to inflation.
But I had my fingers crossed.
Well, of course, if it does add to inflation, then the Reserve Bank, who, of course, is not cutting interest rates, remember at the last monthly meeting, they talked about raising them, not cutting them. They thankfully have held on, but they're still holding on while the squeeze is the tightest it's been in a generation. If these things are inflationary, then guess what? They're going to put up rates again.
A great example of us providing cost of living relief.
Tick tock, tick tock. The clock's ticking. Nothing's happened. Australians are really doing it tough.
But the people who are writing all the laws, they're fine. They get pay rises that are the highest in the decade, or the second highest in the decade, or they get 3 of them since they became the leaders of this country. Oh, but we're giving you back $30-something of your own money. Oh, and if you've got somebody who loves you, then it might be $60. Please be thankful. The crumbs taste lovely.